I'll never forget the night my wife got accused of impersonating the police right there in front of half the neighborhood. The HOA president was screaming that Angela was a fraud, demanding she be arrested when 2 squad cars pulled up with sirens blaring. And in that moment, everything Diane had built, every lie she'd spun, came crashing down around her. But let me back up, because this story didn't start with flashing lights. It started with a simple no thanks. Act 1. The Spark. 3 months ago, I thought I'd found the American dream. My name's Justin Roberts. I teach high school history, which means I spend most of my days trying to convince teenagers that the past matters. My wife Angela works for the county government, at least that's what she always told me. Just boring administrative stuff, she'd say, brushing off my questions. We're not flashy people. Reliable cars, coupons, Friday night pizza, that's us. When we bought our colonial in Meadowbrook Estates, the biggest selling point wasn't the garage or the yard, it was the promise. No HOA. No one telling me how tall my grass should be or what color my mailbox had to be. Just freedom. For the first 2 days, it was perfect. We unpacked. Angela planned her vegetable garden. I finally parked my car inside a garage instead of scraping ice off the windshield. A couple of neighbors waved hello. I thought, yeah, this is it. This is the life. Then came day 3. The doorbell rang and there she was, Diane Parker. Mid-40s platinum bob yoga outfit, too expensive for a Tuesday morning. Clipboard in one hand, folder in the other. She introduced herself with a smile so polished it looked rehearsed. I'm Diane Parker, president of the Meadowbrook Estates Homeowners Association. I'm here to welcome you and discuss your membership. My stomach dropped. Wait, what? I told her straight up. We bought this place because it wasn't under any HOA. That was the deal. She gave me this tight little smile, flipped through her clipboard, and started rattling off about community standards and jurisdiction. Angela stepped out from the kitchen, calm as ever. Diane asked her job. Angela just said, county government compliance stuff, pretty boring. That one word compliance made Diane's eyes light up like she'd just found a new target. Then came the pitch charts, graphs, legal-looking documents, $300 in dues. And Angela, God bless her, looked Diane right in the eye and said, no, we're not interested. I swear you could see the switch flip. Diane's smile froze. Then she snapped pictures of our house, our cars, even our license plates, claiming it was for records. My gut told me this wasn't the end, it was the beginning. And boy was I right. Act 2. Escalation. The next morning, taped to our door was a violation notice, citing us for long grass when I'd mowed 3 days earlier. Wrong mailbox color, even though ours matched half the block. Improper garden aesthetics. We hadn't even finished unpacking, and suddenly we were the HOA's public enemy number 1. Then came the flyers. A concerned neighbors meeting 7 p.m. at the community center. I went. Shouldn't have. Diane had a whole slideshow ready, complete with photos of my house. Big red circles around supposed violations like I was some criminal suspect. She didn't use our names, but everyone knew. I wanted to stand up and yell, but something held me back. Instead, I sat there boiling while Diane spun her web about troublemakers who don't care about property values. That night, I found a manila envelope shoved under our door. Inside, blueprints of our house, surveillance photos of Angela leaving for work, time-stamped, taken from different angles. My hands shook. This wasn't HOA harassment anymore. This was stalking. I showed neighbors, expecting outrage. Most shrugged. Maybe just work it out with her. Like it was no big deal. That's when I realized Diane had them all under her thumb. Then came the lawyer. She showed up at my door with some slick guy in a suit carrying a briefcase. He handed me a cease and desist order claiming Angela and I were endangering property values by refusing HOA membership. Angela flipped through the paperwork, smirked, and said, "These ordinances don't exist. This is intimidation, nothing more." I should have felt relieved, but instead I felt useless, like I couldn't protect my own wife from this madness. And then the email arrived. "Your wife isn't who she says she is. Ask her about her real job." That one shook me. For the first time, I wondered if maybe Diane was right. Angela always brushed off questions about work. But how did she know so much about law, about harassment tactics, about evidence collection? I lay awake wondering, what if I don't even know my own wife? I thought about giving in, just paying the $300, letting Diane win, ending the nightmare. But then I looked at Angela. Calm, steady, unshaken. She wasn't bending. And if she could stand tall, maybe I could too. That was my turning point. And then finally, someone official called Diane's bluff. A city inspector showed up after one of her complaints. He walked around with his clipboard, checked the grass, the mailbox, the landscaping. Then he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Sir, your property is flawless. Whoever reported you is wasting my time." Vindication. Sweet, undeniable. Word spread. Betty from down the street brought cookies and admitted Diane had pressured her to spy on us. Mike, another neighbor, revealed Diane had bankrupted the HOA with projects she couldn't pay for. She needed more members to cover her mistakes. Suddenly, cracks appeared in Diane's armor. But instead of backing down, she doubled down. Social media posts painting us as selfish freeloaders. Midnight phone calls. Surveillance cars parked outside. Even late-night prowlers testing our windows and locks. And just when I thought I couldn't handle another second, Angela dropped the truth. Act 3. The Showdown. It was a Thursday night when we heard the commotion. Diane marching up our walkway with half the neighborhood trailing behind her like an angry mob. She pounded our doorbell shouting that Angela was a fraud, that we were running surveillance out of our home. Angela looked at me with this strange relief, like she'd been waiting for this moment. She opened the door, faced Diane, and said calmly, "You want to know what I do for work? Fine. I'm Angela Roberts, County Sheriff." You could have heard a pin drop. The crowd went silent, eyes wide, jaws open. Diane stammered, "That's impossible. Sheriffs don't live in regular neighborhoods." Angela didn't flinch. "I chose to live here as a private citizen, but your harassment campaign has made that impossible." Diane's face twisted. "This is entrapment. You're corrupt. You hid your job just to target me." She yanked out her phone. "I'm calling the police, right now." And she did. Right there in front of everyone, she called 911 and reported my wife for impersonating herself. 10 minutes later, 2 patrol cars screeched up, lights flashing. Neighbors whipped out their phones, recording like it was primetime TV. Out stepped Officer Smith, the same officer who'd already warned Diane about harassment. She saw Angela, nodded respectfully, then turned to Diane. "Ma'am, let me get this straight," Smith said, holding back a smile. "You called 911 to report that County Sheriff Angela Roberts is impersonating." County Sheriff Angela Roberts. The look on Diane's face. Confusion, horror, denial, all in 3 seconds. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Sheriffs don't live in normal houses." Smith shook her head. "Actually, Sheriff Roberts chose to live here, and she has the same rights as any citizen. What she doesn't have to tolerate is stalking, trespassing, and false reports." And just like that, Smith slapped cuffs on Diane Parker. There it was. The self-proclaimed queen of the HOA, the woman who spent months parading around with her clipboard and fake authority, being led away in handcuffs while the neighbors filmed it all. She screamed about conspiracies, about being framed, about corruption, but nobody was buying it anymore. Because the truth was undeniable, Diane wasn't protecting the neighborhood. She was destroying it, and she'd finally destroyed herself. Final line lesson. Power built on lies always collapses the loudest.